Now, when Airplane was originally shown on television, didn't they add a lot of scenes that were cut from the theatrical version?
Yeah, yeah, they did. I mean, in all these, on all the parodies I've worked on, they do, when they're first assembled, they are much longer than the final release. And so some of the scenes that might not pass the standards and practices people at the network are lifted and replaced with other scenes that we cut. It was fascinating for David and Jerry and me to see Airplane on TV because we hadn't seen some of those scenes since we first shot them, you know, back in 1979. And to see them again, we said, "Whoa, that was pretty cute."
No, your attitude about sequels, because I know you weren't involved with Airplane 2.
Correct.
Now, why was that? And didn't you put an ad out in Variety when it came out stating that you fellows weren't involved with the sequel?
With the sequel to Airplane. Well, you know, we kind of felt that we couldn't think of any more airplane jokes. We'd kind of been tapped out, and so and Paramount said we're going to do a sequel, and they encouraged us to come along to any extent we wanted. In other words, they said, "Do you want to write it? Do you want to direct it? Do you want to produce it?" But we didn't want to. Really in part because we had run out of airplane jokes, and in part because the Airplane was such a baby for us. I mean, we had really started working on it in 1973, and it didn't get filmed until '79 and released. So that, you know, that's like 7 years of our lives were in it, and we hated just to sort of cash in on its success. And so we stayed away from it, and we really did try to dissociate ourselves from it to the extent we could.
A question about like budgets. Now, the first Hot Shots, were people surprised that it made as much money as it did, and that caused the purse strings to be loosened more for the second film?
Well, I think we were all pleasantly surprised with the success of the first Hot Shots, but I saw no loosening of purse strings. I mean, we have a very good producer in Bill Bottolato who is very purse string conscious, and I think the same sort of that kind of fiscal responsibility applied is as much to the second as to the first.
We're often the test market for a lot of new movies.
Yeah.
They'll do test screenings, audience reaction cards, those type of things. Now, how much stock do you put in those type of screenings, and what specific changes have you made in your films because of those?
Well, I mean, I think that some of that has gone a little bit too far, these test screenings and some of the market research. We do test screenings, and during the course of post-production of this movie, we did 3. The first test screening, I think, was about an hour and 40 minutes, and the final release is just under an hour and 30 minutes. So audiences certainly do help cut the movie. I mean, they tell you can sit in the middle of an audience and hear a reaction, and you get a sense of, are they laughing, are they not laughing, are they with you, are they not with you. But that's as far as we go. We don't actually go to some of this more sophisticated market research where they have focus groups and cards, and, you know, males under 21 like this joke and females over 25 like this joke or something like that. I think it's a little scary when you get into when you rely that heavily on market research and so little on your own instincts.